We are live.
Excellent. Good evening, everybody. Happy New Year to all. Welcome to this meeting of the County of Lennox and Addington on Wednesday, January 21st. I call the meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. Can I get an adoption of our regular monthly meeting held November 19th, 2025? Councillor Wise, seconded by Deputy Warden. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Can I get an adoption of the minutes of the inaugural meeting held December 10th, 2025? Councillor Davison, seconded by Councillor Hook. Any edits, errors, or omissions to those? Call the question. All those in favor? Motion is carried. We have an agenda before us this evening. Can I get an adoption of the agenda as circulated? Councillor Richardson, seconded by alternate Norrie. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof this evening? Seeing none, council has been in closed session since 6 this evening. I do have a rise and report from that session. County Council held a closed session meeting this evening at 6. During closed session, County Council approved minutes from the September 24th, 2025 closed session meeting and discussed a matter regarding identifiable individuals, the security of property of the county, information supplied in confidence to the county, and an employee relations matter. I would take a motion that staff proceed as directed in closed session. Can I get a mover to that effect? Councillor Fritsch, seconded by Councillor Wise. All those in favor? Motion is carried. We come to the warden's report. Can I get a motion to note and receive? Deputy Warden, seconded by Councillor Davison. Any comments or questions? Yes, Councillor Wise.
Yes, Warden Townend, can you give me a little thumbnail sketch of what happened at the virtual FLA partnership town hall meeting? What was that all about?
Trying to remember now.
Sorry to put you on
Um,
the spot.
yes, usually about governance in the FLA.
I just
I'm
wondered,
trying to
was it a sort of a public meeting? I mean, to describe it as a town hall meeting, it sounds a little
No,
different.
well, I'm sure as you know from having been warden before, Councilor Wise, it's quite a large organization. I think town hall is more uh, a sort of a bigger group way of describing it.
Oh, it was like the 70 or 80 or 90. Yeah,
It-
okay. Okay,
yeah,
so the
yeah,
whole mob was there.
yeah,
Gotcha. Okay, that's good. Thanks.
no problem. Others, call the question. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Matters for consideration, civic addressing improvements. Mr. Wagger.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Warden, through you. Before I turn it over to our GIS staff, I just want to add or highlight to the report that the next Gen 911 changes that will be coming are going to be more efficient for the residents and enhance safety and hopefully enhance response time as well, and mitigate any errors due to the current addressing system that's in place now. So just to inform council, there's a very small percentage of county residents that will have to have their address changed. So you're likely going to get, well, I've been living there for 20 or 50 years. Why do I have to change my address? Why can't somebody else change theirs? And ultimately, it's for their safety, but it's also for the safety of who's ever going to live in their residence or on that property in the future. And that's why these changes are coming. Again, well, I'm going to turn it over to our GIS staff to do a presentation, and that's in support with emergency services. And collectively, we'll be happy to answer any questions after that presentation, should council have any. Leanne or Anthony, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Thank you, counselors, and thanks, Chris. Anthony and I will be giving a report on the next generation 911 civic addressing improvements. In addition, we are looking for council endorsement for a public next generation 911 campaign. I'm just going to share my screen here so I show the presentation. This evening, I will introduce Next Generation 911, and from here forwards, we'll call it NG 911. I'll also outline key NG 911 dataset improvements and enhancements enabled by the new system. Anthony will go over recommendations and do a quick demonstration. So to introduce Next Generation 911, essentially this is a software migration project of the GIS and dispatching softwares. The NG911 is a new data-driven digital platform. Currently, we are on legacy voice-based technology. The main effects on the county and the townships is that accurate, standardized, and well-maintained GIS data will be dispatched along with 911 calls. This gives the county enhanced responsibilities as we are the regional GIS aggregator. These include collecting data, coordinating, and ensuring compliance with data standards. The data issues need to be triaged by the county from stakeholders and first responders. This will allow us to find resolutions to civic addressing issues that can overall improve the consumers of the data sets. The three data sets where this needs to happen is the civic addressing layer, the road network, and the service area boundaries. The road network is more commonly, the civic addressing layer is more commonly known as house numbers, but basically it shows all the business, cottages, and properties in the county and the numbering that identifies them. As Chris mentioned earlier, some addressing updates will be required on very few properties compared to the overall scope of the county. There will also be a review on placeholder addresses. The road network is a line layer showing all roads in the county, and we are undergoing boundary discussions with neighboring counties. There will be some private lane name updates. Service area boundaries is a polygon layer that's new to the system, showing the fire, police, and ambulance department that serves the area of the county. Currently, our 911 system is functioning very well where the responders do indeed know their boundaries. However, these will be formalized in GIS data layers. We are currently under discussion with the EMS department, and we'll be expanding that discussion into police and fires departments as well. These data sets need accuracy, reliability, and good data governance. What sort of enhancements are going to be enabled by the new system? Why are we undergoing all these improvements? It's not for improvement's sake, it's for the additional functionality of the new system. Overall, NG911 will enable improvements to public safety. This includes better 911 calling location because GIS data is dispatched along with the call, the voice information that is currently sent over telephone lines. It will allow real-time texting, streaming audio and video, new ways to transfer calls. We currently rely on cell towers to triangulate callers, but in the future, the NG911 system will use the devices level location services. Data-rich communication capabilities such as photos, videos, and text messages, and even medical devices in the future will be able to be dispatched along with a call and transferred to the responders. This will allow responders to be better prepared for incident severity, and they will know how to stabilize at the scene and provide better patient care. Currently, we have some things in place for the hearing impaired. However, real-time texting in the future will be available to everyone. Not only will texting be available in the far future, but smart home alarms, medical devices, vehicle sensors, that data can be absorbed by the new system, whereas currently we are not able to transfer any of that data except over voice. So preparing for NG911 involves feeding these three main data sets into the new system. So we do require greater governance at the county level. This will have a ripple effect on streamlining processes of gathering civic addressing, road network, and service boundaries data. So I'm going to pass it off to Anthony now. Yes?
Ms. Chu, are you intending that there's a presentation in front of council as you're talking?
Yes. Are you able to see the slides?
No, I'm
Okay.
just flagging that there's no screen
Great.
sharing.
No worries. I'll just pick up from this slide that I'm handing it over to him as well. Can everyone see this now?
We can now, yep.
Great. Gonna flip it to this and just scroll through these really lovely slides. My apologies for that little tech error there. Now I'm gonna pass it off to Anthony.
Thank you, Leanne. Next, I'll be talking about the recommendations that we have for council. So we are going to recommend that EMS formally delegates data responsibilities for NG911 to GIS. Formally delegating NG911 responsibilities to GIS enables the department to proactively identify, address, and resolve issues related to civic addressing, road centerline data, and municipal boundaries. GIS staff possess the specialized expertise required to interpret and apply NG911 guidelines, including adhering to mandated data schemas and transformation requirements. While NG911 remains under the authority of EMS, this structure allows GIS to work closely with the EMS partners, gaining valuable operational insight into on-the-ground challenges and understanding the real-world impact these data issues have on emergency responses. We would also be planning on launching a public NG911 website, a part of our social media and a part of our public campaign. This will give residents a place where they can go to get accurate and reliable information on NG911. This will be a living and breathing website where they can learn more about what NG911 is, the importance behind it, and the steps the county is taking to getting ready. We also plan to launch a series of targeted social media posts across our social channels. We hope that these posts can increase engagement, but also drive residents to our public website where they can learn more. Lastly, we hope to include a small blurb of information on the county pamphlet that goes out with municipal tax slip mailouts. This would be another great way to drive the public to the website where they can find more information. Leanne, next slide. Here, we plan to launch the public website on February 1st, 2026. The website will hopefully live on the GIS services page with a link on our county website. And in the future, we hope to incorporate it on the lower tier websites as well. As you can see, Leanne has flipped to the NG911 website. There'll be some information for residents on the importance of NG911, also some blurbs about the importance of civic addressing, some more information on supporting modern emergency communications. And as you scroll down towards the page, the data that we create through NG911 will be available to residents to download through our open data portal. There'll be some more pages on the website, such as the NG911 county preparations. This is just a little blurb of what we're doing and some more helpful links. Lastly, there's a frequently asked question page where residents can go to get quick information. And also there is a survey where residents can fill out their name and email address and question, and a member from GIS will be happy to answer their question as it relates to NG911 or their civic address. Leanne, I'll pass it over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anthony. Now I will show a scenario for illustrative purposes. A GIS analysis was run on the example data in the image here. The end of the purple line is what the GIS system will expect the house location to be once NG911 is implemented. The beginning of the line is the current location of the house. As you can see on one side of the street, the house number is 123, which is supposed to be on, I believe, the even side. And then the other side of the street, there's 23, 22, 21. It's very confusing, and there's not a clear separation of the odd numbers on one side of the street and the even numbers on the other side. That is causing the analysis to be fed into the system. And the results of this analysis shows that the actual location is quite far in a distance from where the system location believes the data point to be. This could result in delayed or misdirected response, incorrect call routing and jurisdiction assignment, and reduce situational awareness and responder confidence in a couple of years when the NG911 system is under trial in the county. We would like to readdress this area to a new proposed scenario, where, as you can see, these pink lines show the actual location with the location where the GIS system believes the house to be. This is called geolocating. And the lines in the proposed readdressing scenario very clearly show that there is very little crisscrossing. The lines are very short, And that indicates that there is a very reduced risk of misdirected responses because the system will ping almost exactly where the house is. So to recap quickly, our recommendations to council are that EMS formally delegates data responsibilities to GIS, however, remains under the EMS as the authority on the needs of NG911 along with police and fire. In addition, we are seeking council endorsement for a public campaign to describe the positive effects and the reduced risk with the new system. Thank you very much for your time, councillors, Mr. Warden, and also to my colleagues in GIS here at the county.
Okay, thank you. First of all, are there any questions with respect to the report? Yep, Councillor Wise.
Yes, thank you, Warden. Will there be a means for residents to report any problems or discrepancies? For example, I know of a misspelled road in Stone Mills. It's spelled one way on some signs, it's spelled another way on others, it's spelled two-way on a map. If I were a resident, how would I let the system know that that's something that should be checked out?
I can answer that one, Leanne. We have created an internal app in GIS right now. It's currently in testing right now, but it allows residents to go to the website and enter their civic address. If the civic address that they have matches what we have, they will get a successful on-screen prompt that what they have matches what we have. If it does not match what the county has, it will send them an email and forward them next steps on how they can get that address fixed. And then we'll also flag it in GIS as well, and then reach out to the townships to get that corrected.
Okay, great, thanks.
Councillor Hook.
Yes, a question along the similar lines. And are they advocating that residents visit the website and check for accuracy as far as the civic address numbers? I did visit the website and I looked at my own property, but I thought I did see some errors on neighboring property. So is that the kind of thing they're asking public to visit and then report the deficiencies or inaccuracies?
Yes, we are looking for public support for this project indeed. And that means like checking the accuracies of one's own property. In addition, keeping an eye out on the neighborhood to see any mistakes with, parks or those things that we can then, like Anthony said, forward down to the townships. In addition, correcting these things does affect a small number of properties in the county. So if, for example, if your neighbor's number is odd and your number is even and you report it, that your neighbor may need to change their address to an even number because they're on the odd side of the street. But what we want is everyone to keep in mind that they have to be a little bit selfless in prioritizing community response and 911 response over their attachment to their particular house number. And understanding the amazing enhancements that all of society will benefit from with this new system is what we would like to communicate via the website.
Thank you.
Other questions? Councillor Davison.
Yeah, I just wondered, is it too early? You keep saying it's going to be a small number. Do we have any numbers identified already?
So we do have a number of projects that we've outlined internally, and we will be meeting with the townships actually in a couple months. We will be meeting first with Addington Highlands. And we do have, I don't have them on hand right now to pull out, but yes, perhaps Anthony, you can give a bit of an estimate, the percentage of addresses in the county that have an issue. I think he knows the numbers a little bit better than I do for the overall county. But we have two main projects, the placeholder addresses project, where sometimes like a hunt camp was put in as a placeholder address, and then we're going to review whether that needs a formal address or not. And then we also have some island projects. So I'll let Anthony go into the overall scope of the numbers.
Thanks, Leanne. So I think, don't quote me, but we have around 27,000 civic addresses in the county. And I believe of those 27,000, we have about 980 that are either unknown or deemed as water access only. So it is a small portion compared to the actual the total number of civic addresses, and majority of those are spread throughout the townships. And we are making like a coordinated effort to divide and conquer smaller projects, but also bigger ones, especially with those water access only regions up in the Addington Highlands. But it is a small percentage of civic addresses within the county.
Thank you.
Others? Alternate Nori.
Thank you. I apologize. I don't get to many of these meetings. This has nothing to do with 911. This is just a mapping system for EMS, is it? Because I know how the system works with 911, how it goes through the tree from police, fire, ambulance. Will they all be involved? Like, are you just basically working on a mapping system to help EMS? I'm just kind of curious reading all this. Thank you.
Sure. So NG 911 is a change from 911 calls being voice-based only to 911 calls being internet protocol based. So basically all of the dispatching centers, 911 dispatching centers in Canada, actually since 2017, have been getting IT software and hardware upgrades. Some jurisdictions, such as British Columbia, they are actually creating new dispatching centers because they didn't have enough. And that work has been gone for about 9 years underway. And the whole purpose of these IT upgrades is so that the call centers can start to absorb mapping systems in addition to voice calls. So you will not lose any of your landline, cottage phones, copper-based wire technology. That will all still be transferred and the calls will go through with no problem. However, if you're calling from a medical device or you're texting 911, right now that's just not possible to transfer that data over to the call center and then receive the call and then transfer all that medical data and or text messages and the mapping system to the police, fire, or ambulance that are responding. But with NG 911, those transfers will be possible.
Okay. Through you, Mr. Warden. Well, thank you. My old days, my wife spent 40 years dispatching in Hamilton and Kingston, so I know a lot about it, but it's good to see the progress and the mapping and from days of looking for signs, so that's very good. So hats off to you. Thank you.
Others? I note that in the actual report, the recommendation is to note and receive, but I did see some recommendations in the presentation. So I'm going to turn to Mr. Wager for clarification on what staff are looking for.
Yes, it's actually just note and receive. Staff are not looking for any council endorsement. This is more of information to council, as these changes will be happening as it's a provincial, national project.
Very good. So I'd entertain a motion to note and receive from council. Councillor Fritsch, seconded by alternate Nori. Any further discussion? Call the question. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Lear update. Ms. Gelati.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Apologize for my voice. Let me know if you can't hear me, and I'll try to speak up. But I'm here to give a little bit of an overview over what's happened with our Lear study for the last year. So you'll recall council approved us to go ahead with JL Richards Consulting and Colville Consulting for our Lear study around this time last year. And since then, we've done a lot of work. So we've hired a bunch of committee members, representatives from the area. So everybody except for Addington Highlands is included in this project. So we've got representatives from Stone Mills, Napanee, and Loyalist, as well as staff members from each township that sit on the committee. While we were kind of gathering the committee, the consultant group worked together to kind of produce a draft map. So they looked at a collection of different technical data that was available to them, and then kind of decided on the LE portion of the LEAR for kind of what percentage score that would get, and then the AR percentage as well. So for this project, 60% of the total score is focused on like the soils, and then 40% is focused on other features like fragmentation, parcel size. And then parcels that score 65% or above were considered as good candidates for prime agriculture. So that map was drafted and created, and then the committee worked endlessly to refine this map to kind of figure out if they agreed or didn't agree with some of the study results until we were satisfied that we had a draft that was ready to be presented to the public. So that draft went out earlier last week, as long with we sent about 3,000 letters in the mail to all residents that were affected. So residents that either are going to become prime agriculture, residents that were going to experience no change or have boundaries been adjusted, residents that are going to be removed from prime agriculture. So everybody that was affected in some sort of capacity received a letter in the mail. And then this week, I've been mostly fielding calls from residents who received these letters, so I can give you a little bit of an update on what that's been like. But we have our open house dates as well. So February 4th and 5th is kind of the next steps where we'll have this draft map available. Our consultants will do a presentation. They'll be on hand as well to talk about any questions about the methodology or where the soils data came from, and anything that kind of is above my knowledge and expertise on the methodology. And then we will be fielding questions from residents who are affected based on kind of, what they think about their property, and include some of this local knowledge in producing a second draft. So this is just the start of our public engagement. The study is set to be finalized kind of by the end of summer. So there's still a lot of public engagement that needs to happen. We're open to kind of meeting with resident groups, meeting with people one-on-one. And if they can't attend the open house, I'm happy to meet with them at a different time or, take phone calls. We really want feedback on this project and we want to hear from people. So that being said, if you guys are hearing from people, please do let us know so that we can kind of flag their property and take a look at it. So just a little bit of a highlight of what I've been hearing this week. It's been all over the map. So I've had phone calls from people who are just wondering where they can find more information. So we've been directing them to the website. I've had phone calls from people who are going to become prime agriculture who don't want to be prime agriculture. So we've kind of had conversations about what prime agriculture means, what that means for their property, how it affects their taxes and things like that, as well as what they can do if they don't agree with a designation. They can write in a letter and we can flag their property and take a second look at it. I've had calls from people on the other end of the spectrum who are being removed from prime agriculture, who don't want to be removed from prime agriculture and want to remain prime agriculture. So it's kind of been all over the map. But it's been a really productive week. I think I've heard from about 100 residents so far, which maybe doesn't seem like a lot, but it's definitely a lot knowing the letters were just received on Friday, Monday, and Tuesday of this week. So we're really open to kind of having those conversations, making sure people understand what this means and how it will affect them, and making sure that they know this is a draft and it's not finalized, and we really want input. So I'll leave it at that, and I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
Thank you, Mr. Leddy. Questions from council with respect to this? Councillor Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I'm encouraged with what Ms. Gelati has said. I too have fielded a number of concerns with respect to the map. Most of those concerns are from folks that are very well versed in their own land. And it's a head scratcher with respect to how some of these decisions were made. So I'm encouraged by the fact that there will be at least 2 days of public consultation on the 4th and 5th of February. And probably in all likelihood, there'll be follow-up public consultations. This isn't going to be something very easy to resolve. There's no doubt about that. And I think we have to very cautiously listen to the folks that work the land on a day-to-day basis, because they're the ones that understand their properties probably better than anyone. So I'm encouraged by what Mr. Letty said this evening with respect to being a very extensive public consultation with respect to this, because like I say, some of the concerns that I have, and after reviewing the map and reviewing some of this stuff, I got to admit there are some head scratchers there in my world, and I'm nowhere near anybody that's involved in the agricultural world. So I thank you for that. Just a quick question: the consultants, can you just remind me, are they local folks, or are they from out of town?
They're based out of Ottawa. And their office, they did the Lear study for Mississippi Mills as well, which isn't too far away from here.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. And like I say, I'll hold out judgment until after we see some of the public consultations. So thank you.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Warden. I do want to let you know that these are our first open houses, and they are not like statutory open houses or public meetings. So like these are just informational. So you're right, there will be a lot more public engagement to come. And this is just like voluntarily that we're doing it. So keep in mind that there are still statutory meetings that we will be required to hold, that will definitely allow for more input as well.
Thanks, Mr. Letty. Other questions? Councillor Wise?
Yes, thank you. So Anna, I'm familiar with a number of these properties in my neighborhood because I've farmed some of them through rental arrangements over the years. So, for example, some of the lands that have been identified as possibly being rezoned to prime ag, I have farmed, and I've also farmed an adjacent property right across a county road that's in fact better land, and it has not been indicated that it would be prime ag. So when I come to the public meeting as a citizen, I point this out to the consultant. Would they then arrange to physically look at the property? Is that the likely outcome of such a situation, or what would you anticipate?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Warden. So there are areas on the map that have been flagged as areas that our committee members didn't agree with at all in terms of kind of what came out with soil. So there's two main areas. One is in Stone Mills, one's in Loyalist. So our agrologist will be going out there and kind of doing a review of the soils in that area. If people are concerned about kind of their individual property, we can't have our agrologist go out to every single property and kind of look at the soils. So I think the first step will be if one property, let's say, scores 90% and the property across the road scores 50%. And we know that the knowledge is there's better farmland on that property that scores 50%, is to kind of take a look at why that score, like where the score, is it the soils, is it the fragmentation, is it the parcel size, like what is affecting that score? And then we can have, depending on how many properties there are like that, because I think there's quite a few, at least from what I've heard, we can have, I think the easiest way is just have residents write in with their knowledge on the property, and then we can kind of rank them and create a list to see how we can tackle those. If they're all in the general area, so for example, I've had quite a few calls about properties located north of Newburgh, and kind of the soils in that area. So if there's like, I don't know, 50 calls in one area, we can look at having our agrologists go out and take a look at the soils there. But I do want to emphasize it's not just about the soils or if the land is being farmed. It also has to do with, like, there has to be a good chunk. So there has to be a 250 hectare area, right? So if there's a parcel that's across the road and no other parcels across the road are good farmland, it might have just been excluded based on the fact that we didn't want to draw like a weird line just to include one parcel. That being said, it is something we could do. So that's kind of been my message to people I've been talking to is if you know this and either you don't want to be prime ag and your property's kind of on the outskirts, let us know so we can take a look at it. Same way it goes the other way. If your property wasn't included and it's, should be included, let us know, especially so we can always redraw the boundaries and go take a look at things like that. So these field studies obviously won't happen until the spring. So people will have to be patient until the snow kind of melts for us to be able to get out there and kind of do that. A lot of it we'll ask the committee members to go out there and take a look and kind of chat with folks who have concerns about this. A lot of members of our committee, farmers, work the land, know a lot about the area as well. So that might be kind of a way to do it as well. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, that starts to get at it. I was wondering if, in fact, the fact that there's a county road that sort of isolates this one piece of land that I would say is better than the stuff on the other side of the county road was the reason it didn't get captured, because it's probably the best farmland in that particular neighborhood. The other question that sort of occurred to me while you were talking, Anna, is the reason that we have prime ag designation anywhere is a recognition that we do not want to lose good productive farmland. The fact that someone doesn't want to be designated prime ag, I don't understand why that would weigh significantly in the decision that's made. You're protecting a resource through this exercise. So unfortunately, for some people, this is going to result in restrictions on decisions about their property, just as it would be if they had some aggregate resource or if there was a natural hazard. So while I respect people's wishes, in some cases, this is just an unfortunate result of a closer look at a resource that we have in common, and they're not making any more of it. So
yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of been the message as well, is there are some properties where there is some flexibility. Like if they're, most of the calls that I've had from people are properties that are like an acre or half an acre in size. So it's kind of a different conversation than if you've got a, 10, 20 acre property or larger. But you're right. Like some of these, some people are going to be unhappy because we are protecting prime agriculture. That's kind of why we did this study, is to figure out where the good soil is, where the good land is, and how we can protect it. So not everybody is going to kind of get what they want out of this study. The message is more that let us know so we can take a second look at your property. There might be something that we missed. There maybe is not something that we missed. But if you're concerned, flag it for us, and then the committee can take a second look at kind of where you're located, and what the options are and why you have been given this designation, and kind of go more into depth based on that property specifically.
Right. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Harding. Any others? Questions, technical questions? Recommendation is to note and receive the report at this juncture. Can I get a motion to that effect? Deputy Warden, seconded by Councillor Wise. Any further discussion? Call the question. All those in favor? Motion is carried. 2026 Ontario Child Care and Early Years Funding. Ms. Kent, where are you? There she is.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I don't really have anything to highlight further. I'd be happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Any questions for Ms. Kent? Yep, Councillor Wise.
Yes, thank you, Warden. So Pam, I see that the parent fees are staying at $19 a day, which, unless I've missed something, is about double what the target rate. Are we still supposedly going to $10 a day, or has that changed?
Through the warden, that was the goal of $10 a day by the March of 2026. But unfortunately, that is not occurring in Ontario. They were able to get an extension between the province and the feds for 1 year for extension, but part of that extension was maintaining the current fees because the province has identified that there's not enough funding to get to the $10 yet. So I think there's still work in negotiations for the extension for beyond the end of 2026.
Okay, so that's still the goal that's just been put off. Thank you.
Any other questions with respect to this? Can I get a motion to note and receive? Councillor Davison, seconded by Councillor Fritsch. Any further discussion? Call the question. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Canada-wide early learning and childcare targets. See you again, Ms. Kent.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll try not to repeat everything that's in the report, but essentially we had communication recently where the ministry provided us with a summary of where we were at with our targets. When we received the communication, it did not align with what we thought where we were at with meeting those targets. And this was the case for many municipalities. So there's been some I guess, unclarity with it. So I did reach out to the province. So specifically for our community, it's around our home childcare spaces. So it has been what the province has reported as spaces doesn't match ours, and it's their numbers is significantly higher than ours. So it looks like we've created more growth than we've actually created. So of course that had a pressure on us because we had other planned spaces that we then had to put a pause on until we resolve this because we wouldn't have then had the funding to continue with those spaces. So we have reached out to the province and explained the discrepancy that we've identified. They've asked us to report those as pressures on a template in December, which we have done. And so we're just waiting to hear the outcome of that. I'm hoping for a successful outcome and they'll be able to revise our targets, and I'll certainly keep council apprised as we move forward, but did want to let you know that we did have to pause some projects, one being the expression of interest we recently released in Loyalist Townships. So that project is on hold as well as the Yarker daycare at this time. Happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Questions for Ms. Kent on this? Councillor Fritsch.
Yes, through you, Mr. Warden. If Pamela, in your report, you remark here, obviously you're going to keep council up to date on it, but the projects that are on pause, is there a sort of a time frame where then that becomes a real problem if we pause them too long and they're not able to actually do the work once it is approved?
Yes, through the warden. Yes, absolutely. Because all projects must be up and running and operating by December 31st, 2026. So certainly we're hoping to hear sooner than later, and in order to give those operators a chance to do the retrofits that they need to do to make that happen.
Okay, so yeah, as you commented earlier, the sooner the better, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Others, Councillor Wise.
Yeah, and further to what Tony's getting at there, we want to keep a really close eye on this. I don't have to tell you that, Pam, but if there's any hint that some of those projects might be at risk, we've got to get our MPP on side here, advocating for us.
Others? Can I get a motion then to note and receive? Councillor Fritsch, seconded by alternate Norrie. Any further discussion? Call the question. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Homelessness Prevention Program funding.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. So this report is really as well just to bring you up to date on the homelessness prevention funding that we've been receiving. It comes to an end this fiscal year of March 31st, 2026, and we have not yet received confirmation of funding beyond that, although it is expected. Attached to the report, you would see the funding commitment letter we received for the last fiscal year, which references new guidelines and coming for the 2026-27 year. This funding, we've received homeless prevention funding for the last 27 years in different iterations. So it certainly is expected to come, although we do not yet have that notice. So wanted to make sure council was aware of that, because there is a financial risk if we continue beyond the March 31st. And so put forth whether council may wish to do some advocacy around this piece to try to get notice sooner than later. I'm happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Thank you, Ms. Kent. Questions on this piece? Yeah, Councillor Fritsch.
Yes, dear Mr. Warden. Yeah, Pam, can you guess, or do you have a feel for what the degree of risk there is right now in this funding not coming through? Or... No.
Yeah, it's a good question. I would hate to guess. We really do anticipate it coming because we know homelessness is on the rise, not decreasing. So funding is needed, but nothing is guaranteed, of course. So.
Yeah, well, I guess surely we would think that they would follow through on this. I mean, it's a pretty major issue. You could hardly imagine somebody's going to pull the plug on some funding for something that's certainly of provincial significance, the issue. And yeah, that's just anecdotal comment anyway.
Yep, Councillor Wise.
Yes, thank you, Warden. So, Pam, what would help in terms of advocacy and timing? A letter from the warden to the minister involved, just respectfully, but firmly asking, is the funding planned and when will it arrive? Is it premature to do something like that? What would help you?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think a letter would be fabulous to go to the minister to ask that question, or the MPP, whomever you feel is the appropriate person to connect with.
Well, then I will move the recommendation and add to it that a letter be sent to the minister copying the MPP with whatever wording Pam and Brenda think appropriate to get some advocacy on this issue.
I'll take that motion. Can I get a seconder for it? Deputy Warden, discussion on the motion. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Dedicated lands for road widening.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Warden. Through you, this report we bring to council annually is for any parcel or part of parcels that the county has acquired for purposes of road widening. It needs to be dedicated as such. And there's a proposed bylaw in the bylaw section at the later part of this council. I'll be happy to answer any questions should council have any.
Any questions from council? Seeing none, can I get a motion to note and receive? Councillor Davison, seconded by Councillor Richardson. Call the question. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Insurance premiums, Mr. Day.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Warden. Before council is just an update on as we move into our 2026 budget. I know council is well aware of the insurance increasing costs that we've had at the county and with yourselves at the lower tiers the last few years. So just wanted to bring council attention that we are looking at an increase of 111,000. or 10.7% from last year's budget. That is subject to deliberations. If I do hear any more information, that could change further. But I just wanted to bring to council's attention and show them the last couple of premiums. Our premium is July 1st, so it is kind of hard to predict what that premium increase or what that will be at that time. So we just wanted to highlight for council's attention. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Day. Councillor Hook.
Yes, are we insured for cyber attacks? I expect we are, but where would that fall into under the chart that you provided?
Yes, we are, and it's actually under it's under the general property. It's under that category there.
Okay, I guess my question is, if in long-term plans we decide to hire somebody to help out with the cybersecurity, would it be prudent to advise the insurance company that by doing so, that would actually reduce a risk for the insurance company? And then maybe we could expect a small well, maybe not a small, but a premium reduction.
Through you, Mr. Warden, our IT department has done great steps in order to achieve cyber insurance, and we do definitely highlight whatever we can to help reduce our premiums in that regard.
Great.
Thank you, Mr. Day. Other questions for the Director of Finance? Councillor Fritsch.
Yes. To Mr. Warden. Yeah. Mark, my question here is, I know we've had some issues with fires, damage, things, and you mentioned in here with social housing component, obviously that significant increase. It sort of begs the question is, and I'm sure our senior staff are looking at this, are there things that we can change or do in our social housing, either in our sort of systems that are there, or how, I guess, the occupants are, how do I say this, managed? I don't know, to try to reduce these occurrences and risk, when you see this significant damage in social housing, I don't know if there are actions that we can take to try to reduce the risk of some catastrophe in social housing, where we have an insurance payout, rather than, continue to bear the brunt of increased premiums. Is there anything preventative that can be done?
Mr. Warden, maybe Chris can allude to it as well. I know Property Service has done great lengths that they can. I think that's one of the problems. All our facilities are quite old in age, and with the materials and stuff that were involved in the original construction. So whenever we do any improvements, I know we do look at whatever we can to help litigate against any fire damage or whatever we can. It's an ongoing battle, but they are taking steps on wherever they can to improve. And with the building conditions studies that we do, there's rooms for improvement or areas that they might be able to achieve through that.
Mr. Wager?
Yes, through you, Mr. Warden. I support what Mark just said. Further to that, I will sit down with property staff and our social services staff to see if there's something internally, whether it's a communication with whether it's tenant activities or use of our facilities, to see if there's something that we could reduce our risk.
Yeah, I mean, it's a complicated issue, it's not straightforward, but yeah, if there's anything that can be done, or anything that can help, obviously it's to everyone's benefit. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Day? Yep. Councillor Wise.
Yes, thank you, Warden. Just further to that, I mean, that's certainly worth exploring. But I think we're also dealing, just the way the insurance business works, if I understand it at all, you're not just dealing with specific incidents that might raise our premiums a little bit. You're dealing with a sector. It's basically a nationwide or a worldwide sector that has a certain risk attached to it. regardless of whether your particular part of that sector has a good record. It's just like if you're driving a car in Toronto, your premiums are going to be more than they are out back of beyond kind of thing. So a certain amount of this is just beyond our control.
Through you, Mr.
Day?
Warden. Yeah, through that, yes, we've been in a hard market for quite a few years now. There's not very many players in the municipal insurance, and that does create a strain on what we can get for premiums as well.
All right. Can I get a motion to note and receive the report, item number 7? Councillor Davison, seconded by Deputy Warden. Any further discussion? Call the question. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Preliminary financing strategies.
You,
Back
Mr.
to you, Mr.
Warden.
Day.
Yep. Through you, Mr. Warden. Before you is a preliminary financing strategy for the 2 major projects that council is committed to. One being the Loyalist ambulance base and the new social housing project in the Loyalist Township. So in the report, I've gone through in details on how we propose to finance these. I just want to highlight though for 2026 budget, the ambulance base, we do have cash in place presently to help finance that during the construction phase. But at the end, once we get the updated costs in the final, we will be coming back to council with a detailed report on how to debenture that and the use of reserves to help alleviate the debt that we do have to take, and then what the impact would be on future levies to cover the financing costs and the operating costs. And for the 12-unit housing project, we do have in the 2026 budget $350,000 for engineering. So that construction cost will be part of the future budgets in 2027, which again, we will be bringing to council updated reports on both these projects as they move forward. But I just wanted to give you in front of council now as we get into budget on some of the financing strategies that we're looking at on moving these projects forward. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Day. Questions for Mr. Day on this report? Councillor Richardson.
There we go. Sorry, through you, Mr. Warren. I wonder, Mr. Day, if we can get maybe a couple or 3 options with respect to the use of a different number with the reserves. I know you've quoted 25% on both of those options, but I wonder if we can get, maybe what it would look like with that use of 35 or 40% of reserves, just to just so we get a fairly good idea. I mean, obviously, we all know that there are tough economic times out there for folks, and just continual increase of the levy is going to make it tough for folks. So just if we had some options, just so we can balance that out and see how it looks, that may be helpful.
Mr. Warden, for sure, we can definitely do that, and then we'll have once we know a true cost and what the cost will be, and then once we know what our reserve balance are updated after year end and what our other future commitments are for capital, for sure we can present different options of what that would look and the risk involved of reducing our reserves more or in the levy. So whatever council will wish to do at that time will require their approval for sure.
Great, thank you, I appreciate it. Thanks, Mark.
Okay.
Others? Then I'd look for a motion to note and receive. Councillor Wise, seconded by Councillor Fritsch. Any further discussion? Call the question. All those in favor? Motion is carried. So now we come to some preliminary budget requests. So we will start with 9A, 2026 non-union compensation. And I'm going to go to Ms. McGarvey.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I don't have anything to add to the report, but I would just highlight that similar to the other reports, this is to support the development of budget working papers, and that council could review this again next month as part of their budget deliberations discussions. I'm happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Any questions for Ms. McGarvey? There is a recommendation in that report. It's a little longer. Councillor Wise, seconded by Councillor Fritsch. Any discussion? Call the question. All those in favor? Motion is carried. 9B, council remuneration.
Thank
Back to
you,
Mr.
and through you,
Day.
Mr. Warden. Before you is the council remuneration. We're looking at for updating the budget for 2026. I just want to bring to council's attention, you can see the difference at the lower 2.025% or at the 3%, which council did choose to coincide with what the staff, non-union staff increase was. That is highlighted there for council's consideration and what to prepare the 2026 budget with. Also, I would like to update council since the printing of this report, the Revenue Canada did issue the mileage allowance late last week, and it has gone up 1 cent per kilometer. So for 2026, it will go up to 73 cents for the first 5,000 kilometers and 67 cents after. So that is an update to that section. So we're just looking for direction from council on for your remuneration on what to move forward with for 2026.
Thanks, Mr. Day. First of all, any questions, technical questions? Okay, then what are council's wishes with respect to the direction? Thoughts? Sticking with status quo or going up to the 3? Councillor Richardson?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Warden. I'll leap in here with both feet. Have we over the past 3 or 4 years ever just froze the council remuneration? And I know it's sort of a slippery slope and a double-edged sword, but again, the tough economic times, and I know that the number isn't a large number, but have we froze those enumerations recently, or have we just continued to go up 2 or 3%?
Through you, Mr. Warden, since I've been here in 2019, it has not been frozen. I can't really recall since before that, but it has gone up.
Great, thanks, Mark. And I know that I mean I know that the numbers aren't big, but you know, I'm always one of those folks that likes to lead by example, and I don't think it would hurt us maybe to freeze for a year just to attempt to try and ease it for the taxpayers. So, thank you.
Through you, yeah, and I did just to highlight that council did match non-union last year with the budget as well. So.
Others? Councillor Wise?
Yeah, I agree with Terry. I know it's pretty well a token gesture, but another couple of $300 is irrelevant to me, and I would suggest that we just freeze things. And meanwhile, I'm going to try to get the image of going down a slippery slope on a double-edged sword out of my head, Terry.
Others?
I'm fine with that.
Yep, Councillor Fritsch.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with it being frozen. It, you know, in the long term, if that was repeated year upon year, that probably wouldn't be a good idea. But for this year, I'm fine with that.
So can I get a clear motion then from somebody? So I'm just looking at the recommendations. So first of all, to note and receive the report. And then a motion with the particular direction council wants on the second item. Councillor Richardson?
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Something to the effect, I'll look for Madam Clerk to maybe clean this up for me, but to freeze the council remuneration for the calendar year of 2026 at the 2025 rates. Does that work for Madam Clerk?
Yes, that's perfect.
Great.
Okay, I'll take that motion. Is there a seconder to that motion? Councillor Wise seconds. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Motion is carried. 9C, museum contract position.
Thank you. We had a similar project happening last year, so again, we're looking to see if this can be included in the budget. What we're proposing is a contract position to continue work that's been ongoing over the last year at the museum with our curatorial collection. So these are all the items that are in storage right now that require inventorying as well as digitization, so we can have more objects online for multiple people from all over the areas to be able to pull those off. What we're doing as we speak is we have an application submitted to the federal government to support that at 50%. So the recommendation going forward is that this is included in the 2026 operating budget. The application, if successful, would provide 50% funding. And if not successful, we would still continue by drawing from reserves to support this position to finish off the work that's required at our museum. And I should mention on the reserves, we have approximately $1.7 million in reserves and have had endowments and donations over the years that will be able to support this that are very much, I guess, subject to this type of work at the museum of making sure that our curatorial collection is safe and secure and accessible to all. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Paul on this? Then I'd look for a mover to move the recommendation, if that is council's wish. Councillor Hagedorn, seconded by Councillor Hook. Any discussion? Call the question. All those in favor? Motion is carried. 9D, County Road 5 surface treatment. Mr. Wager.
Yes, thank you through you, Mr. Warden. Staff are recommending the reconstruction of County Road 5. And we're recommending that we do a pilot project using 100% recycled asphalt as base material, adding emulsions, and then putting a new asphalt surface on top. Again, using a higher percentage trial basis in 3 stages throughout the project, therefore maximizing the amount of recycled material we use so we can review its quality. If this works like we think it will, this will actually change our construction practices going forward with our higher volume surface treated roads, giving us a higher level of service to residents and providing reduced maintenance cost with winter maintenance and repairs as well. Happy to answer any questions should council have any.
Any questions for Mr. Wager? Councillor Fritsch.
Yes, to you, Mr. Warden. Yeah, Chris, when I read your option 3, the pilot project, it certainly really intrigued me, and thought it was a really interesting proposal. Is it been tried somewhere else, or is this something that your department has sort of came up with as something that they felt was certainly worthwhile trying out and evaluating?
Through you, Mr. Warden, it's a combination. So the science and the process exists, but it's never been tried in this particular scenario with the being used on a roadway with this and with the increased wrap usage. So yes, cold recycling is a common practice, cold in place recycling. This is similar, but because we don't have an existing asphalt service to work with, we're bringing in 100% recycled asphalt instead of bringing in new granular virgin material to give us a little bit of a base that we can then put a heavy recycled asphalt product on top. Knowing, it's not, we wouldn't do this on County Road 41 or some other road where we have a high volume of traffic. County Road 5 is at around, 1,000 to 1,100 vehicles per day, which does state that we do need to look at bringing this into asphalt surface. But again, thinking economically, environmentally, we're going to get a great product out of this at a reduced life cycle cost, and then it gives us further options down the road to rehabilitate this roadway in the future.
Okay, may I just make a comment? Thanks, Chris, for the explanation. And I guess regardless of what council decides here, certainly my kudos to you, the department, for proposing some, I'm going to say, unique ideas.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fridge. Others, any questions? Councillor Hagedorn.
Sorry, I just have a comment. So it's better suited after a motion is on the floor, is it?
You can go ahead and make the comment,
Okay.
Deputy Warden, that's fine.
This option 3 intrigues me. I've worked on projects that were not as quite at the level this is, and most of them worked out well. I think this is a good road to try it on as well, just with the ADTs. And I'd be interested to see how it turns out. The projects locally that I know were somewhat similar to this takes it to the next level. So it should actually perform better than what I've seen perform on other roads. So I think this is a good move. The other thing is we're not only utilizing the recycled asphalt, which in some locations have ample supply of, we're also reducing our aggregate usage as well. So we're saving aggregate for other developments and not depleting what can only be removed from the ground once by doing this as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Warden. Others? There is a recommendation in the report, specifically identifying option 3. What are council's wishes? Councillor Davison?
I'll move option 3.
Move the recommendation. Is there a seconder? Councillor Fritsch? Any further discussion? Call the question. All those in favor? Motion is carried. 9E, superintendent position, and I will turn to the chief, Mr. Jones.
Warden, thank you very much. Essentially, council, I'm looking for approval to include an additional superintendent position in the 26 budget discussions. The community paramedic has grown exponentially, and coordinating and managing it is becoming more and more difficult, given our deputy chief, who's responsible for the program, is also balancing the professional standards portfolio on the 911 side of the house. In addition to the CPE support, we have uncovered 911 superintendent shift hours based on their shift schedule that are perpetual, and we need to address those. We would like to address those with this position as well. We'll still continue to use our PTLs. There's great value in them. It allows for succession planning, building capacity, leadership opportunities for those that are interested in those processes. They are unionized members that act as a quasi superintendent, ensures that the crews are supported in their daily day. So we aren't getting rid of that. We believe in that program. We think it's a valuable program for those that are interested in leadership. But this position would cover those 1,200 hours each year that are uncovered. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chief Jones. Questions for the chief? What are council's wishes with respect to this? Councillor Wise?
Well, I think it's been clearly explained and demonstrated that there's a need for this position. This is just part of the growth of community paramedicine, which in the sort of wider picture is actually doing what we all pay lip service to, which is that preventive care and public health saves money. It's an investment. It keeps people out of emergency rooms. It keeps people from deteriorating. And I would say that this is it's a money-saving investment in the long run on a societal level. So I would move the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Wise. I will take that. Is there a seconder for that? Deputy Warden. Any discussion? I just add that I agree completely with Councillor Wise, and from the Warden's Caucus perspective, from Roma's perspective, a lot of the advocacy work is to continue to fund and expand the community paramedicine program. The EOWC is pushing right now for a paramedic college, which will do a number of things, but one thing it will do is enable the Ministry of Health to expand the scope of work for what paramedics do. So yeah, no, to Councillor Wise's point, this is definitely an investment in the future, and it just goes from success to success.
And sorry, Warden, I failed to mention the way the funding model works, 75% of the salary will be covered at maturity.
Thank you for that, Chief. Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Advisory Committee reports. TAC. Is Mr. Wager coming on for that? There he is.
Have to click the button. Sorry, Mr. Warden.
That's all right.
Through you, I don't have anything to add or highlight. I'd be happy to answer any questions should council have any.
Any questions for Mr. Wager on the TAC report? Can I get a motion to note and receive? Councillor Davison, seconded by Councillor Fritsch. All those in favor? Motion is carried. JMPC compliance report. Where is Ms. Malcolm? There she is. You always got to look around your screen, find people. There we go.
There we go. Okay, thank you. Through you, Mr. Warden. So the compliance report, I will start with the discharge chart that you see in front of you. There is an error on the chart under total admissions. It should say 20, not 30, but otherwise everything is unchanged. We are welcoming a number of PSW and RPN students into the home right now to do their placements. We're working with FNTI as well as, of course, our living classroom students. So we've had a number of preceptors who are taking on that leadership role, which we are certainly appreciative of. We did have our annual compliance inspection at the home in December 1st to the 5th. There was 2 compliance inspectors in. They did what was called a compressed inspection report, and they focused on infection prevention and control, recreation and social activities, as well as pain management. Which is, the last 2 are not that are frequently inspected at our home, and so it was really positive to see that there was 0 findings, and they were very complimentary, as is usual for us. So it's very, very good. In terms of the quality indicators, this is the last time I'm sharing with you around the antipsychotic usage, because we are doing very, very well in this regard. So this will just close out the 2025 sharing of this data. As far as the has fallen in the last 30 days, we are running a little bit high here, but this will be addressed through our restorative care program, and I expect that in the next quarter that we should see it to continue to decline as it did in December. In terms of worsening in the dependent mid-loss ADLs, again, we're running a little bit high, but this is something that we're focusing on as we are transitioning to inter-RI. And so we will see we are seeing some more accurate documentation now that we're doing a lot of education with staff. So we think that there was actually some inaccurate coding that was occurring. And so that's the result of a better picture of what's happening in the home. Worsening stage 2 to 4 pressure ulcer, that's what the PU stands for. We are running at just basically at the provincial average, and which is a very nice and low. And we have a team leader, an RN, who takes that portfolio and is doing a really, really staff and providing education. And then the final indicator is worsened pain, where we are again under the provincial average. Again, this is something that we are doing our clinical pathways on through the RNAO. So there's a lot of education that's happening for all levels of the staff, and they are super engaged right now in addressing this. So that's also very positive. In terms of IPAC, you can see that we closed out December with 60% of our staff being fit tested. We did have to send our machine away to be calibrated. It took much longer than what we thought. It is now back in the home, and so there was a large chunk of staff who all expired at the same time, and so we are now catching up with their fit testing. We have a really good percentage of flu shot compliance with our resident population at 93%, not so great with the staff, which is not unusual across long-term cares right now. And then we closed out 2025 with a total of 11 outbreaks compared to the year before at 18. I will share that at the current time, we do have 2 home areas in a COVID outbreak at the home. And so they are closed, essential caregivers only, and full PPE in both of those home areas. I can confirm that I provided a signed letter to the ministry to indicate that we have completed all of our emergency exercises that are required as per the Fixing Long-Term Care Act, and provided that declaration to them. And then actually, that's all. If anybody would like to ask any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Any questions for Ms. Malcolm? Seeing none, can I get a motion to note and receive the report? Councillor Richardson, seconded by Councillor Hook. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Come to activity reports. Admin services, over to the CAO.
Through you, Mr. Chair. I just want highlight a couple things. I want to thank the treasurer, the director, the managers for all of their work on the budget. So we'll do our budget meetings starting in February. That was a sort of a big push in November and December. And want to welcome Buffy Whalen Burke to the admin team. We stole her away from HR, and she's come into the CAO's office as our new executive assistant. So welcome to Buffy. I'm happy to answer any questions council might have.
Any questions for admin services? I will add my welcome to Buffy. She is the new person assigned to manage me, and she does it very well thus far. Financial services.
For you, Mr. Warden. The only thing I'd like to highlight is I'd like to welcome Sing Shan Bruley as our successful candidate for the coordinator of provincial offenses, and happy to answer any other questions that council may have.
Thank you, Mr. Day. Any questions for finance? Seeing none, social services. Ms. Kent.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have nothing to add or highlight, but happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Thank you very much. Any questions for social services? Very good. Community and development services. Mr. Paul.
Hi, just one note. Just wanted to announce that we have a new library manager. Allison D will be starting February 9th. Allison is coming from the Clarington library system, where she was a director of innovation and strategy at that location, and we're looking forward to having her start in February and meeting the team. Other than that, I think the report just shows some outcomes from 2025, and I'd be happy to answer any questions for any of our departments.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Paul? Seeing none, we'll move to long-term care. Back to Ms. Malcolm.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Warden. Just one thing, just to point out that with our move to enter RYE from RYE MDS that commenced January 1st, 2026, our CMI is now frozen, as is all homes across Ontario. They will not be, so our CMI will be set as outlined in my report, and we will not be getting a new CMI until 2027. It will be retroactive for for 2026, but there'll be no change for this year. Happy to take any questions though.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Malcolm? Yep, Councillor Wise.
Yes, thank you. I just don't really know what all those acronyms mean, Angela. If you could sort of break that down in simple terms, what are these assessments and how does it affect your case mix index?
Okay, so Interi is the new provincial assessment tool that has been determined to be a more effective and more comprehensive tool, more timely. So we're getting more delayed data, like 3+ months data that we were collecting, and now the questions that they have determined are more appropriate to determine the funding for our resident population. They feel that this is going to be a more accurate reflection of the time spent by staff to support residents. So this is what supports the nursing envelope exclusively, this CMI. And so the case mix index is what we get every year. We don't know what it's going to be. It's very difficult to budget for because it's based on a resident population at that current time, or at that time, which would be like about 6 months ago. And so we don't have any control over who we admit into the home. So there's very little control on this pot of money that is cut how the ministry feels is the best way to do that. It's honestly a mystery to me at the end of the day, truly.
Well, if it's a mystery to you, imagine what it's like for someone outside the picture.
Yes.
So these assessments are when a new residence is admitted, or it's just a snapshot taken of all residents at one time of the year? When do the assessments happen?
So there's an assessment done upon admission, and then every 3 months after that.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? Questions for Ms. Malcolm? Very well. Emergency services.
Thanks through you, Warden. The reports in front of you, you'll note that our call volumes are down for this year, 2025. We equate that to probably two reasons. One being the Tyendinaga base is now up and running. So those are, say, a portion of calls that our Napanee bases would have used to have done and are no longer doing, given that base is fully operational. In addition to that, obviously the MPDS, which we've discussed a lot, we anecdotally know that the volumes are down because of that, and we're going to work with our dispatch centers to better understand that data, and hopefully that we continue to trend down. That stops us from having to look at increasing staffing in addition to ambulances and defibrillators and all those expensive pieces. So it's a good news story on that front. And one thing I would like to mention is that a big shout out to, and Angela's team is involved in this as well, so I don't want to take full credit, but given the evacuation on December 9th at 318 Camden Road, which obviously the county supports, it's a seniors residence. Those individuals were evacuated to the Best and Bash Center. Very quick action by my 911 team to recognize this was an evacuation type scenario. We transitioned the CP paramedics that day to that site. Given their unique relationship with pharmacies and the emergency evacuation, lots of residents weren't able to grab their meds. But because of the relationship the community paramedics have with pharmacies and physicians, they were able to contact local pharmacies, get emergency prescriptions filled for those individuals, connect with physicians if we needed to, if they were at the end of their prescription. And then the pharmacy stepped up, got us all those prescription refills immediately. The community paramedics went to the pharmacies, picked up those drugs, brought them to the seniors, did full assessments on those individuals, made sure they got their meds. Angela's team was there in support as well. It was just an amazing effort by everyone involved, and it shows what a great community we are when we need to come together and we just get things done. And it was very, very impressive and very, very well coordinated. So I have nothing but kudos and respect to shout out to our team, Angela's team, for a job well done. And social services, sorry. I forgot about that.
Thank you, Chief, for that. That is good. Any other questions for the Chief? Moving on, HR. Ms. McGarvey.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Nothing to add, just a quick shout out to staff. They broke a record this year at their annual holiday luncheon in funds raised for the Morning Star mission and food donated to the Salvation Army. I really appreciate their generosity, particularly given the economy right now. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions from Ms. McGarvey? Seeing none, we'll move on to infrastructure services. Mr. Wagner.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Through you, I don't have anything to add or highlight. Happy to answer any questions should council have any.
Any questions for infrastructure services? Seeing none, can I get a motion to accept all the activity reports as presented in one motion? Deputy Warden, seconded by Councillor Richardson. All those in favor? Motion is carried. So we have some resolutions on our agenda this evening. Number one is the Municipal Accountability Act. This comes to us from the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville. What are council's wishes? Anyone? Councillor Wise?
Motion to receive.
Motion to receive. Can I get a seconder for that? Councillor Fritsch? Any discussion? Call the question. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Southeast Public Health. This motion comes to us from Front of Young Township. What are council's wishes? Councillor Hook.
Motion to receive and support.
There we go. A motion to receive and support. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Fritsch. Discussion on the motion. Call the question. All those in favor? That motion is carried. Omer's governance changes. This comes to us from the Warden's Caucus. I'll put my plug in to support it, but I will turn over to council as I am but a servant of council's wishes. Deputy Warden.
Move to receive and support.
Seconded by Councillor Wise. Any discussion on that? I would just add that I thank the mover and seconder for the motion. It is a key advocacy piece that all the organizations in the municipal advocacy space are advocating around. It's complicated. It's not necessarily easy for anybody, let alone the public, to really understand. But the potential implications of what Bill 68 is proposing is quite significant. And of course, we as municipalities are the backstop for that pension fund. So the governance matters. So my thanks to council. So I'll call the question. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Matters for information. Emergency Management Modernization Act. Any questions on that? Agricultural Impact Assessment. Liquor License and Control Act. Questions? Can I get a motion to receive those matters of information? 1 through 3. Councillor Davison, seconded by Councillor Fritsch. Call the question. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Statements by members. Are there any statements by members this evening? Seeing none. Any notices of motion? Any matters of urgency? We come to our bylaws, the dedicated lands for road widening. Can I get a mover for that? Councillor Fritsch, seconded by Councillor Davison. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Confirmation of proceedings, 3 readings. Councillor Wise, Councillor Hook, all those in favor? Motion is carried, and then I would entertain a motion to adjourn this evening. Councillor Hagedorn, seconded by Councillor Richardson. All those in favor? Motion is carried. We are adjourned at 8:35 this evening.